If you want to make her think about you nonstop, the answer isn't cheap tricks or empty charm, it's mastering the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy. Ancient Stoics understood human desire, resilience, and attention in ways that still shape how we connect today. By blending self-control, emotional depth, and unshakable presence, you can trigger a psychological pull far more powerful than fleeting attraction, one that lives in her mind long after you've left the room. Psychological secrets that make a woman think nonstop through Stoic philosophy. Human relationships have always been deeply intertwined with philosophy and psychology. In every generation, people have raised the same question: what makes someone linger in another person's thoughts? From poetry to neuroscience, the question has fascinated humanity, but one often overlooked perspective is Stoic philosophy. The Stoics were not counselors in the modern sense, yet their reflections on desire, focus, and control over attention provide a subtle framework that can be applied to relationships, especially the dynamics of attraction and lasting impression. This essay explores how Stoic philosophy intersects with psychological secrets of influence, and, more specifically, how a woman's continuous thoughts might be shaped about a person through these principles. Importantly, this is not about manipulation in a crude sense, but about understanding timeless human tendencies that the Stoics believed drove attention, value, and desire. By integrating ancient Stoic wisdom with modern insight into cognition and psychology, we will uncover key interpersonal dynamics that make someone remain unforgettable. Stoic perspective on human attention. The Stoics argue that what occupies our mind depends largely on our judgments rather than on external things themselves. Epictetus famously taught that it is not events that disturb people, but their interpretation of events. This means that when someone thinks about another person, it is not simply their physical presence or words that create lasting mental echo, but the value judgment assigned to them. For example, Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations often reminded himself not to be swept away by appearances but to look deeper into the essence of things. In relationships, the reverse operates as well. If a person appears to embody depth, composure, or philosophical strength, the mind struggles to dismiss them. They become repeatedly re-examined. Thus, from a Stoic viewpoint, if you want someone to think of you constantly, the secret lies not in brute charm but in shaping the judgments they unconsciously make. Psychological foundations of repeated thought. Modern psychology gives language to what the Stoics intuited. Neuroscience shows that memory and attraction are reinforced by three forces. Novelty: the brain clings to unusual or rare qualities. Emotion: the stronger the emotional charge, the more memory consolidates. Uncertainty: the mind loops on unfinished puzzles or unresolved tension. Combining this with Stoic thinking, the person who wants to remain unforgettable must master the ability to remain composed, mysterious, and valuable in ways that create judgments of rarity and meaning. Stoic secrets for being unforgettable. The power of rarity: value through restraint. One Stoic principle is that virtue is rare and therefore precious. Courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance are not abundant in the world. When someone embodies these traits consistently, they set themselves apart. In attraction psychology, this rarity creates deep mental impressions. A woman who encounters a man embodying calm resilience, refusing to be tossed around by trivial passions, will unconsciously mark him as different. Her mind, trained by evolution to notice anomalies, will revisit him repeatedly. Restraint and moderation, key Stoic virtues, signal self-control. In relationships, self-control creates fascination. A person who does not yield immediately, who pauses before answering, who demonstrates thoughtful silence rather than eager flattery, becomes rare. The allure of emotional stability. Stoic philosophy emphasizes indifference to uncontrollable external events, cultivating inner calm. In modern terms, this produces emotional stability. For a woman encountering such a figure, the psychological impact is powerful. Most people are reactive, easily angered, or visibly uncertain. A Stoic personality, however, remains composed, regardless of circumstances. This constancy creates a subconscious sense of safety mixed with intrigue. She may find herself thinking, "Why doesn't he react like others? What is the source of this strength?" The mystery of calmness acts as an ongoing cognitive hook. The enigma of self-sufficiency. One Stoic cornerstone is autarkia, self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that virtue depended on his rational soul, not on external fortune or approval. Applied to the psychology of attraction, self-sufficiency becomes magnetic because it resists the appearance of needy pursuit. Many people chase affection openly and frequently, which often decreases value. But the Stoic figure, who pursues virtue rather than validation, creates unintentional scarcity. This scarcity forces the mind to revisit him. Why does he not seek me like others do? The tension of uncertainty locks thought lines onto him. The mystery of controlled vulnerability. While Stoics emphasized rational dominance over passions, they also acknowledged natural human impressions. The trick is not suppression, but disciplined response. In attraction psychology, occasional glimpses of controlled vulnerability, sharing a personal story, revealing hardship overcome, or exposing authentic values, creates emotional resonance. The Stoic principle of controlled path, emotions, ensures that vulnerability is never chaotic. Instead, it appears as a conscious confession, a humanizing moment. Psychologically, this balance, strength with glimpses of humanity, creates a cycle of thought. He is so strong, yet he revealed something real. What else is beneath that armor? Intellectual depth and logos. The Stoics worshipped logos, the rational order of the cosmos. For them, the wise person participates in this universal reason through thoughtful conversation, reflection, and a life aligned with principles. Translating this to influence, intellectual depth triggers lasting memory. A conversation enriched with philosophical insight or reflective thought lingers. Most daily talk is shallow. When someone introduces ideas that elevate understanding, the listener replays those ideas. She may lie awake pondering, what did he mean by that? How does that insight apply to me? This mental revisiting ensures nonstop presence in thought. Indirect influence through silence. Stoics practiced holding their tongue and letting others reveal themselves before speaking. Silence, in psychology, often creates pressure, prompting the other person to mentally replay what was left unsaid. This is especially true if silence accompanies a knowing smile, a thoughtful glance, or a sudden pause mid-conversation. The brain hates incomplete narratives. Therefore, silence or subtle ambiguity often ensures repeated recollection. The woman may wonder, what was he truly thinking? Why didn't he respond? In this way, silence, a Stoic trait, becomes a psychological echo chamber. The role of uncertainty and desire. Epictetus taught that desire must be moderated toward what is in our control. However, human psychology reveals another layer: uncertainty creates obsession. Modern relationship psychology refers to this as the Zeigarnik effect. The mind retains unfinished tasks or unresolved puzzles more vividly. Thus, when Stoic restraint prevents overdisclosure, a woman is left with fertile gaps of imagination. Instead of providing full validation, the Stoic man allows ambiguity to remain. This uncertainty, rather than boring her, keeps her mind returning. Does he truly like me? Is he invested? Why can't I read him fully? The balance of engagement and withdrawal is crucial. Stoic wisdom prevents one from indulging too much or too little. Demonstrating interest while maintaining independence keeps thought alive perpetually. Stoic aphorisms applied to attraction. To make this discussion more grounded, consider how several Stoic maxims translate directly to interpersonal allure. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Marcus Aurelius. Translation: control your emotions and interactions. Emotional steadiness enhances fascination. Man is not disturbed by things, but by the views he takes of them. Epictetus. Translation: respond to challenges or rudeness calmly, she will notice the difference from others. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself? Epictetus. Translation: continuous self-improvement signals growth, inspiring respect and thought. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. Marcus Aurelius. Translation: embody virtue through action, consistency of character leaves stronger impressions than words. These points illustrate how Stoic thought interlaces seamlessly with psychological hooks. The psychology of memory, why she keeps thinking. When applying Stoic secrets, the psychological mechanisms for constant thought emerge clearly. Contrast effect, encountering someone unlike the majority engraves attention. Attention bias, emotional security combined with mystery triggers selective focus. Repetition loop, unresolved questions about behavior create circular thinking. Associative resonance, philosophical or meaningful conversations form deep associations with life events. Narrative gap, the less you fully reveal, the more she mentally fills in the gaps. A Stoic figure produces all these simultaneously, often without even intending manipulative influence. The subtle art of withdrawal. One central Stoic practice is detachment. Detachment in relationships prevents clinging or desperation. While unhealthy aloofness drives others away, disciplined Stoic withdrawal creates intrigue. To think of someone nonstop, the other must feel some absence. Constant presence dulls memory, but principled space sharpens remembrance. This mirrors Seneca's advice to Lucilius on friendship and love: closeness must be mixed with independence to remain enduring. In modern psychological terms, scarcity enhances perceived value, and absence intensifies longing. Integrating feminine psychology. Though Stoic philosophy itself never differentiated genders in its core principles, modern psychology shows that women, like men, are especially attuned to emotional cues, behavioral consistency, and underlying strength. Certain dynamics amplify this mental replay effect. Safety with spice, a Stoic provides emotional ground yet carries unpredictability through restraint. Admiration of discipline, self-control signals reliability and long-term value. Cognitive curiosity, intellectual and moral depth generates lingering reflection. Comparative scarcity, differentiation from ordinary reactive men heightens attraction. Thus, Stoicism aligns with psychological triggers naturally: calm stability, self-sufficiency, and rare wisdom together fuel constant imagination. Stoic warnings against manipulation. It must be stressed that Stoic philosophy, while effective in attraction psychology, was never designed for seduction or coercion. The Stoics valued virtue above manipulation. Their wisdom serves to refine character, not exploit minds. Therefore, if one cultivates these traits only for personal gain, they betray the Stoic message. However, paradoxically, authentic cultivation rather than manipulation has the strongest psychological pull. For when a person truly is virtuous, rare, calm, and thoughtful, the effect on another's mind is effortless and lasting. Conclusion: the Stoic secret to lingering thoughts. When viewed through Stoic philosophy, the psychological secrets that make a woman think non-stop about someone are not tactics of seduction, but byproducts of virtue. Rarity born from self-control. Fascination sourced in emotional stability. Intrigue generated by restraint and mystery. Deep memory inscribed by intellectual and moral depth. Unfinished meaning left intentionally through silence and detachment. These principles align with cognitive psychology's findings on novelty, uncertainty, and emotional engagement. Yet they transcend manipulative strategy, urging one to pursue inner excellence first. The psychological echo in another's mind then arises naturally, for virtue is always unforgettable. In this sense, the Stoic secret is that the best way to be unforgettable in thought is not to aim for constant remembrance, but to embody reason, virtue, and composure so authentically that the human mind cannot help but return to you as a reference point of contrast in a world of mediocrity.